The chaos reigns. Yes. Welcome, 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 everybody, to another stream, another podcast, another event here on the Chaos Rain Show. I'm Chaos Rain here. Welcome. Let me move my computer close to me. Ah, finally, it's been a while. And matter of fact, let me stop this because that sounds so annoying right now. What it's doing. I apologize, guys. I got Discord on. Oh, and make sure you guys join and follow me on Discord as well. I don't know why people are still putting out that stupid thing with the ghetto gaggers. That's just stupid. Oh wow. I didn't know that happened to P. Diddy. Oh wow. Anyhow, let me stop this. So y'all see the thumbnail. Y'all see the title. And I'm hoping that as you guys come in the building, you hit the like button. Likes are free. You do share this and hit the super chat. Support the channel. I have some plans somewhat in the come months of this channel. Um, like always, still putting out the content, being patiently doing the thing, find new info, new ways of innovation, or I could say even new ways of discussing certain topics in a way where it seems a little more pleasing or attractive, in lack of better words. But besides the point, the links to follow me are the following. You can follow me on Twitter at Chaos27. You can add me a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. You could also follow me on Rumble as well. And let me see if I have the page for Rumble. I have it with me. I'll find it eventually. Follow me on Rumble. What else? Oh, and please join the Discord service of the Chaos Rain Show as well. Those are on the descriptions of this channel as well. And become a member of the Chaos Rain Show. I have some things in store for the membership side of the Chaos Rain Show. And the only way you're gonna know about that is you gotta be a member of the channel. Now you can pick any tier, first, second, or whatever tier, wherever suits you. Go ahead. And what else I'm about to say? Did I miss anything? Oh, and please leave a comment at the end of this video as well. And let me see. I'm just checking some things out right now before I get started. Okay. All right, I think I got everything. So now let's go into today's stream. Make sure you hit the like button as well. Oh, I forgot the other groups. I forgot about the groups. I'll just add one group and then move on. All right. Today's subject. You see the thumbnail. You see the title. The title. Interracial love from a man's perspective. Now, this never gets too old, in my opinion. In regards to interracialism, people swirling out, dating out, hell, having intercourse out, lack of better terms. And all of this is fine and dandy, but really, truly, it's always easy for men to really date out because at the end of the day, like I said in previous episodes, that women want men. And as you can tell, black men don't really have a hard time getting non-black women, regardless of the economic status or the size of the woman. I prefer that most men if they're dealing with dating out, the woman gotta be at least appealing body-wise, not too fat, maybe not too skinny if they could avoid it, but really truly, That's just me. But really, wherever floats the man's boat, he's going to do regardless. So, in saying this, oh, and I forgot to say, you must hit the like button. In saying this, I came across, like most people, videos, and there is another book that's here by another form of this mark of interracialism, like they think they do, personally. And in knowing this, like Larry knowing this, they're put in a bind now because they think and feel if they, swirl out or black men's holding back, wherever the case may be, the excuse they make, they think by their moving the goalposts that they're justifiable finding the non-black men of either their dreams or just any man, generally that's mostly white, which, yeah, a little surprising, but not too shocking. So, in knowing this, yes, once a black woman gets a non-black man, it's actually a big win in their back of the mind because really true, they always wanted European men for whatever reason. Now we can go into science why that is, but we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna stick to the topic at hand, so that they want a non-black man, European man, white man particularly. And the reason why that is because in their mind, they have gotten a piece of God next to their bosom. So, like anything, you want to cherish, hold it, and caress it, and nourish it to the best possibility. That's why we look at gentlemen. When you do the best you can and be the best versions of self, and not always going to really you're going to gain anything, much as a black woman, respect or any of significance. Matter of fact, she'll just like Uncle Dave said, they will continue to make the goalposts. They will create the back door if need be. And to me, that's very powerful when you can find that a group of women, like them especially, just like the old saying from Carl G. Wilson, if there is no door, they will create the door. And like always, their back door is, well, in lack of better words, back door that speaks for itself. Most women, they do nowadays today than it was 10, 20, actually over 20 years ago. They don't like going through back doors, but ladies nowadays are engaged in backdoor behavior and loving it, for lack of better words. That's another story. But anyway, these lovely ladies, they will keep creating the disorder, and you are going to try to restore the order, which you'll get long and drawn out, constantly investing time and energy trying to correct these behaviors. Anyway, so no further ado, I'm going to run this video from a man. I think he has a channel. I don't know what his channel is, but he talks about this very unique book that came out in 2015, 8 years ago. So let's listen in and take details. And another video I will play that's going to add more to one of your own sisters that messed around with a Caucasoid, how the relationship really was. So let me find my fair use. All right, we're going to go fair use with this one, guys. So make sure you hit the like button, share the stream. Let us begin. And here we go.
Interesting people because they're going to think you're smart. But data realism, who we are, when we think no one's looking, huh? Now, think that's really an interesting title. Who we are, and then there's a little asterisk there. That means more to come, and then buried down here, when we think no one's looking. This book is fascinating. I'm reading it right now.
And that's one book that I don't got. The only book I have gotten, because like the other book that's in the thumbnail of this video, you'll see the Dataclysm and the Day Divide. Two different books talk about pretty much the same thing, collecting data, seeing people's movements, actions, what they find or view as pretty or what they seek in mates. Two different time frames. The Day Divide came out in 2021. The Catalysm came out in 2015. So we look at the split between numbers. We're looking at a gap of 6 years. So let's listen in to find people's preference and their choice. And this guy exposed a lot about what's going on in regards to what has been found through this data of the Black community, particularly Black women. Let's listen in closely.
And Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie said, we got to get this guy on the show because he's brilliant and the insights are amazing. So welcome to the show, Christian Rudder.
I'm extremely happy to be here. Great intro, man.
Just a little intro to, I try to get people to build it up a little bit here so that they're,
Sure.
When we say we're going to get into data,
Right.
everybody glosses over.
Right, no, I've
but
seen
when
it
I tell
happen.
you this data is spectacular, you put together, you're a brave man.
Well, I mean, OkCupid it's an easy source, because it's like literally very sexy. It's people give so much of themselves to a dating site. You need to know age, sex, location, just to get back to the kind of like chat room origins of the whole thing. So you just know a lot about people.
All right, I'm just going to go for it. I'm literally going to go.
Please,
because you had
go
all
on.
this data.
Yep.
We'll get into your story in a minute. White women, Asian women, Black women, Latinos, and the range of women scores. Holy cow. You saw all this data, and you said, let me look for patterns.
Now, what you're seeing, if you ever invest in stocks, you're seeing a wick candle. That's a wick candle image, like in stocks, of what is going upward, bulls and bears. That's the image he's using to describe the data in regards to interaction of these sites between the sexes. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see better. As you can tell, that the wick shows, white women, Asian women, Black women, and Latinas, which are white, and they could interverse between white and Black, some Latinas. If you think about a good majority of Black men, when they talk about if they're going to go outside the culture, right? They're going to either do it find Black women outside America, or they'll find Latin women that's here outside America, which most likely is going to be most European-looking white Latinas. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand. And there are Latin women that have the straight hair and they got the big butts. If it's natural, it's not no BBL, hopefully. Well, matter of fact, scratch that. A lot of women nowadays now find out are getting BBLs, which I'm finding that's not cool. Yeah, that's not cool at all. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Anyhow, let's continue watching the fair use.
Yeah.
Explain to people who are looking at a graph right now what they see here.
Oh, okay. So, the up to the y-axis. So that's the 1 through 5. We let people rate each other on a 5-star system, like
Right.
movies on Netflix or whatever.
Sure.
And these are what they're called box plots, which are kind of a pretentious statistical visualization. But basically, this graph shows that Black women are sort of uniformly rated about a star lower than the women of the other three groups, on average. So,
Wow.
and it's not, and especially it's showing that it's not this kind of bimodal thing. Like I told somebody the other day, meaning there's kind of like two, you can imagine a scenario where there's some, say, Black women that maybe they have kids or something like this, that's somehow unattractive to everyone else. I don't know. And they would be rated very poorly. Meanwhile, everyone else who didn't have kids in that population would be rated normally.
Right, because kids would be like, oh my God,
Right.
I'm going on a date with
I'm
somebody.
not up for this.
You know,
Right.
I got to come home to their apartment and or house and there's a bunch of kids.
Right. But it's just a uniform kind of like blanket discount.
Wow.
And not only is it applied uniformly, but the if you go look at that, so that's the people who are being voted upon. If you look at the people who do the voting, their scores that have the same distribution of the scores that they give. So it's not just some like small cohort of racists giving out crappy votes. It's just kind of uniformly on a person-to-person level, everything is discounted.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense.
That's really intense. And
Yeah.
when you discovered this as somebody doing data analysis,
Uh-huh.
what was your initial reaction? Because you made a lot of graphs here and you looked at stuff, and
Yep.
you must have said, hey, I wonder how race plays into beauty and scores.
Right, that's exactly how it started.
Well, race plays a significant amount. I mean, significant amount meaning that race plays a heavy toll in regards to in how people are going to be dating and mating in the society. As you know, Black people are not really the majority in this country, so we're not like the biggest pot. But at times, we are the ones in regards when people look for mates. Depending on the gender. I mean, like I said, the Black man today might have a little more ease to date out than women, for whatever reason. And let's be honest. I always hear say because they're not trying. That's why European. No, it's not trying at all. Non-Black men, especially if you're only seeking white men, which this is mostly the majority of the country, they have to make the conscious effort to say, I'm going to put a ring, marry this woman, maybe take care of her a little bit, provide something. And be honest with you, the European man today doesn't have to really provide much to the Black woman today, to be fair honest. And the reason why I say is because the standards in which white men come around Black women, I mean, they don't really put a certain high bar because they need to have the shot to really get close to whiteness and hopefully get mixed babies out the deal. That's really the real intention is if you think about it. Without that, I mean, really truly, and I understand because if you do lower your standards for other groups of men, yeah, that heightens the chance for you to maybe, hopefully, someone will probably put a ring on it. Maybe. I'm just saying, but what do I know? All I know is that then I can see why a lot of men get frustrated, Black men, because you're never going to fulfill it because the goalpost has to be constantly moved. Has to move. Otherwise, it won't be considered a goalpost. Yeah. Hold on. All right. So let's keep going. And fair use.
And nobody had seen this before.
No.
And you uncovered this.
Right.
What's that moment like where you all of a sudden plotted? Did you just immediately say there's something wrong with the data?
Well, I mean, look, I think any.
And I'm going to go through the chat room in a second. Let me just give the first 5 minutes and I'm going to see what's been written in the chat room. All right. So let's continue. Fair use.
Any sensible American imagines that there's going to be some racial component to this thing,
Yeah.
right? I was surprised at the kind of depth of the discount, so to speak. And also, that data that you guys just saw is just from OkCupid, but you see the same pattern on, Match.com. You see it on another site called Date Hookup, which over-indexes with Blacks and Latinos. So it's not just like, OkCupid is probably a little bit more white, maybe a little bit more Asian than
Right.
the world generally. Date Hookup is the other way around. And so it's not just a function of a particular user base. It's just kind of a thing,
Right.
in the online dating world.
When you
generally.
find data like this, and I guess this is a number, this is another look at the same data. His race, her race. And when you look at this kind of
Right.
data, do you try to figure out why? Did you go to people who scored people low and then do a survey? Or did you do any further research to figure out what is the issue?
No, I didn't, honestly. And I guess that could have been interesting. I just, especially working at OkCupid, just a lot of this research we do just in the course of running the business,
Of course.
So the idea of going and surveying some 1,000 of our millions of users is just.
All right. Here's another graph. As I'm looking here. Normal ratings for men to women on a OkCupid. Now, I've heard about OkCupid for some time now. I never went on their website because there are certain websites I'm not going to waste time entertaining. And the reason why, because each dating site, regardless of the quality of the dating site, I look at overall it's the same. This is just me. This is just me. But anyhow, and it shows here. Oh, and Melanie Vessel, I'm not sure how if you start listening to the stream from the beginning. Did you watch the stream from the beginning? I'm kind of curious. All right. Asian, 18%. Blacks, 27%. Latinas, 2%. Whites, 7%. And it's based on race. And it shows here. It's a little hard to understand numbers. So let me know. All right. So let's follow through. Let me keep playing.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We never do it.
Did you ever think like maybe I shouldn't release this data? It's too
That did cross our mind.
polarizing. Like,
Yeah.
or do you? What's your theory on data and releasing it? And because it is in a way, doesn't it hurt when you release that? Like, I feel in a way like sad or hurt. And
make sure you guys hit the like button as you come through. Let's keep going.
like I'm not even
Right. Yeah.
the party who's affected.
It is a bummer for sure. We did talk about it. I mean, we first started publishing this stuff in 2009, so kind of like way before people were really talking about data, the kind of human interaction data. And we did talk about it, and we were also worried that people would be like, well, everyone on OkCupid is racist. I'm not using that site.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a concern too. But we just decided to go for it. Tried to be transparent, a little provocative. That's sort of like OkCupid's vibe. So this fits those two.
What was the
things.
reaction? Did you get that reaction that OkCupid people are racist?
Not that one too much, because I think again, kind of in the same way that any reasonable person would expect there to be a racial trend. I don't think anybody thinks, especially because I've since gone through other dating sites data as well. I don't think anybody thinks it's something peculiar to OkCupid. If anything, we should be less racist. Like we're kind of more upscale, more coastal, more urban, all this stuff.
Well, is that true? Because we've had this discussion on the show and people are having it in life. And listen, this is being taped at a time when we have the Eric Garner case and just all kinds of insanity going on with police departments and race.
There is. Yeah.
Which could really use some data
For sure.
analysis, to be totally honest. And I'm sure a lot will occur now. But when you look at this, what can we infer about the state of race in America? Especially with young people. Are young people less race-based in their choices of dating?
No, they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same.
So it's not getting better.
It's not necessarily getting better, no. And like if you go through the data of the, I think now 6 years that we've kind of been collecting this exact same type of stuff, it's the same pattern every year, basically. It's not really.
Well, it's not supposed to get any better. The country's founded and funded by what they like to call racists. Racist keeps this country in order. As much as a lot of people don't hear this, most of your presidents are racist. Most of them, by default, racist for whatever intentional reasons. And you think the selection of mates not be on that same racist ideologies? No. And it's funny. People always say, is racism really good? That's a very tricky question. Personally, and this is why it's tricky, because if there was no racism, you think the world would be operating the way it is today? I'm just saying. But to the point, ain't nothing really supposed to be changed. Even with the data, like the data catalysm of where people stand mentally, and it's given honest opinion that people are gonna move and operate to what they like and what they value. Let me see. I got a message. Oh. All right. So let me keep going. Let's keep going.
Really getting better. And I guess the thing that I like about OkCupid's data, I mean, a counter argument against this stuff as well, it's just in dating and it's just romance, but this is all from people basically in the kind of Tinder style interface of flipping through photos and making a judgment quickly. And it's the kind of first blush of what you think of somebody, you know?
Right.
And like people are entitled to their own idea of who they want to sleep with, right?
Right.
But, you know, we can't make somebody want to get together with a person of a different race if they don't want to. That's just how life is, you know?
Right.
But I think so much of it happens sort of unconsciously. I don't think there's people that come to the site and are like, fuck it, I'm only gonna swipe right on white guys or white women or whatever, you know? But I think it just kind of happens slowly by degrees that these scores are built up over time. And lo and behold, you kind of wake up and you're like, oh, wow, I see that one group is just uniformly treated lower than another. You know?
All right. So now 2 more graphs we're going to do when we get back from commercial break. The first is, how do Asian, Black, Latino men and Asian, Black, white, and Latino women actually, how attracted are they to each other? As well as, how do women rate men and how do women rate men? Men rate women,
right?
Which is really interesting.
In aggregate.
In aggregate, on what should be a bell curve, but is far from it in one of the 2 cases.
Sure, right.
Real, and it's not maybe what you think when we get back on This Week in Startups. Hey, everybody, I'm so excited.
Okay, so let me fast forward that. Yeah, so really truly, how I look at it is that people mate across the board. They look for something they like, look for something compatible, most likely, and look for someone to make a long-term relationship by default on the average. I think with problem with young people today, they're more looking for, you know, to have more fun. Like literally have more fun, meaning they want to have more intercourse. And really, truly, hold on a second, guys. So, and really, truly, personally, right how we look at it, see it as is, I think with Black people, Black men and Black women, they're hoping that by jumping the fence, it should be better. The question we ask is always over the fence really better? Because people do mate and procreate with their in their own. But let's say you're able to be that lucky person, particularly a man. You're able to, you know, go out and entice a non-Black woman. You're able to, you know, get them draws and maybe procreate. She might give you some better. And reason why, let's say they do give Black men a better, easier time, is because they don't have this baggage overall in regards the roles of sex. You know, they do have appreciation for Black men, you know, from what I'm hearing. Now, in regards to the stories with the sisters and all that stuff, you know, I get why most dudes they don't like it. Because really truly, their complaints constantly is always a Black man that they want to control by default. I mean, they don't want nothing more. If they can't control this Black man, he's actually useless, which makes sense. But really, truly, you're not built. You're not meant to this world to be controlling most men. To be honest with y'all, you're just not. But anyway, let's keep listening into this because there's so much onto this. How much more? Oh, we got a long list tape. So let's keep playing. Fair use.
You buy right now. That's right. I'm insisting you pause the show and buy Dataclysm, Who We Are, asterisk, wait for it. There's the pause. When We Think No One's Looking by Christian Rudder. It is an amazing book. I'm really enjoying it. I'm literally like writing stuff in the notes like, wow, this is fascinating.
Thanks.
So let's keep going on the race and also on the gender issue. First, Here we go on this chart. Asian, Black, Latino, white, his race.
Yeah.
Her race, Asian, Black, Latino, white.
Right.
Normalized rating from men to women on OkCupid. So now what is this chart showing?
Well, this is kind of a more specific drill down of what we were looking at before, where you see that Asian, Latino, and white men give, say, black women a rating that's about 25% lower than the
over
norm.
a point lower.
Yeah, so over a point lower than the norm.
Point and a quarter.
Right, lower than the norm. And you can also see there on that diagonal, you can see Asian men rate Asian women slightly higher.
Almost a full
normal.
point.
Yeah. Same with Latino to Latino or Latina and white to white. And then it's just other than
So
those
there is
two
a
trends,
pattern of like when the race is the same, you get a slight premium.
Yeah, there's kind of two significant trends that are going on. Yeah, there's same race is treated at a premium. Black women are discounted by other types of men.
Except for black men, who just
and
score
black
them
men
normally.
are just like racially neutral. I mean,
Yeah,
these
racially
are very low.
Yeah.
Actually,
Actually, that's very interesting. So what this would say is black men are the least racist.
Sure.
If you said the selection of gender was
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Hold on, guys. Well, not surprised. You think about it, self-hate is a learned behavior not only taught in institutions, but also taught in-house. If your mother does not respect and love blackness, everything of her in essence and entirety, then by default, your children are going to not respect blackness. Hell, the boys won't even respect black men. If you want to go pretty much obvious. To find that, they are least racist amongst their own, it's very telling. Very telling. I'm going to rewind that back for y'all. Let me see where. Let's rewind it back. There we go. Let's rewind back. Let's hear this one more time.
Is the same, you get a slight premium.
Yeah, there's kind of two significant trends that are going on. Yeah, there's same race is treated at a premium. Black women are discounted by other types of men.
Except for black men, who just score
black
them
men
normally.
are just like racially neutral. I mean,
All right. I'm sorry, guys. I had to make sure everything's functioning. Let me make sure I'm back online. Let's see. All right, let me see. It's good. I'm sorry, guys. All right, yeah, I'm back. So we could continue to take no more hassle, no more trace. Let's keep listening. And I was rewinding back.
Was an indication of racism,
right?
Which is not true.
Well, it depends on how you want to look at it. I think on an individual level, I wouldn't call any person's voting pattern, as long as they were a person of general goodwill, racist. Right. If they liked Asian women or they didn't like black women or whatever.
But their preference.
But the preference, the aggregate preference, the kind of societal level preference, I think is racist. I don't think you can't make someone. People love who they love, right?
Right. So you can't ascribe intent,
right,
like racist intent to it. Certainly.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so.
But what would you say of the pattern of black men? They seem to rate people on beauty, not race.
Sure. Yeah. The race does not seem to be a factor in black men's mate election, I guess is how I would put it.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And then, and it's the reason it's particularly striking is just on a numerical basis, +2, -1, +3, +4. It's statistically insignificant when 20 points equals a star.
Yeah,
Is that right?
well, I mean, these are all significant. I mean, these 16 spaces together comprise, I think, like something like 61 million votes or something. So a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of data went into each one of
Right.
these squares.
What
So
I'm saying is the difference isn't significant.
yeah, it's extremely minor compared to the bigger numbers on the chart.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you said there was one other trend here.
So there's the diagonal, and then there's the diagonal, and then the vertical red. And those
Right.
are the two trends. So,
Got it. Okay. Now let's look at this one here. Changes in final message and keystrokes. What is this?
this is the characters and final message. So each one of these dots, and I use some opacity so you can kind of get a sense of the depth here. Each dot on this, I think this is like 100,000 messages. Each dot is a message.
A message on OkCupid between two people.
From a man to a woman, the first contact.
The first contact from a man to a woman.
Right.
Got it.
And we log keystrokes,
Okay.
mostly for spam detection.
Sure.
And when I went through and looked at, in addition to the content of the message, which obviously we store.
Okay. So wait.
Now, how much you want to bet the man that wrote this book has either a certificate or a degree in data science as a computer science major? Because this man is taking all information to comprise of what people's actual activity is on the site. And to me, that makes more of accurate data than someone just asking people random questions. You guys got to understand, every time we participate in any website, any blog, hell, even any social media, they are using that data to give a thorough conclusion analysis of what people think, do, and operate in the decision makings. Y'all aware of this? This is the thing that Mark Zuckerberg got in trouble with, not disclosing that Facebook was using their deep data to conduct analysis so they could sell it to advertisers. So, because some people leaked that out, he had to go in front of the Congress and has to explain. Yeah, it's true. I see Soul King. How you doing, brother? How you doing? I don't know if you're a new subscriber. If you are, welcome. Like always, please hit the like button. If you want to donate, please donate. And anybody else that's watching. And depending how the stream is, I will open up for maybe questionings. They're always watching. Yeah, they have to watch because this is where the money is at now. Black Soul. They have to watch. Because if they're not watching, they cannot make money on people, aka the consumers. We are consuming this product, which is the internet. How do people utilize the internet to make money? Simple, by creating websites, apps that you as the consumer is going to come across and consume the product. The more you consume, the more money they'll make. That's why when you notice Facebook with the algorithm is always based on negativity, because the more negative, the more you're enticed to consume their product, which is the website. But anyway, I don't want to go drawn off subject. Let's keep going. Fair use.
Let me just make sure I understand that. Keystrokes would be how many keys I typed in.
How many times you hit the keyboard?
But the characters in the final message
is the text, the length of the string.
So if there were 100 characters and 200 keystrokes, I edited it.
Yeah, sure. Right. You edited a lot. Yeah, right.
Got
So in the diagonal, obviously, is this parity, and as you can see, these type of messages, and this is logarithmic. So the type of message you just described, the 200 keystrokes to 100 characters in the final message, you'll kind of be along that diagonal Milky Way, and they're in that density. But you see these kind of like these vertical lines, and you see, oh, how did somebody have 1,000 character message with one keystroke? And it occurred to me, I mean, it's obvious now that one keystroke is Control V, people just pasting stuff in. So
they took the time to write it in another editor because it was so important. They wanted spell check. They wanted this. They didn't want to lose it, maybe. Or
sure, I think that's a good point. That could be what's happening to some degree. But
I figured out the second one.
Most of it
they have a standard response.
Yeah. So a standard first
template.
A standard first message, because you can see there's
no. It's not first step or mishaps. No, that is actually correct. Let me explain. Most people that are communicating with the opposite person, right, the opposite sex or whoever, they want their expressions, their thoughts, their sentences to be clear and coherent enough, so that way, once they sent that message, it's clear to the person they're trying to express. Not everybody writes ghetto language, right? Scribbly scrap when they text and all that stuff. Most people do use proper grammar. And depending on the person that they're trying to have a conversation, they will use the most formal grammar possible to engage and start conversation. So let's keep that in mind. So, and they should know this already. Anytime you copy and paste any information, that you want someone to read and understand what you're writing clear. That's just common sense. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
People, they'll be like, "Hey Maria," I should change that one here. It'll be "Hey Linda." Whatever.
Ooh.
So you learn that, first of all, it's incredibly common. Like I think maybe 20% of the messages on OkCupid are from guys to women, which isn't. I mean, that sounds weird, but I thought about it more, and it's not that different than telling the same stories to people that you're trying to pick up. I mean, like how you got that
Inviting
scar.
people to the same dinner party.
Right, exactly.
You know.
Right, just running your shtick in one way or another, right?
Right.
But people do it, and digitally just as they do in person. But it's actually, this is just, I'm sure many of the people you've had on the show have talked about this. If you give people a set of rules in a system, they'll figure out a way to game it. You know, for us here, it's guys trying to contact women, and they're like, well, all right, I'm gonna create something kind of that I think works. Control C, Control V, you know, and just throw it out there, and I'll get as many replies as I can get, and it's like a numbers game, you know. And there's a lot of people that approach dating like that. It's just a pure numbers game, and you see that it's not just like, hey, what's up, over and over again. Like these messages are very often, the most successful ones of these cut and paste messages are very idiosyncratic. Like, hey, I used to be a smoker. I love architecture.
No, but it is that simple. Copy and paste. You keep the language. You keep the how you say it, a form of engagement, and you got to dumb it down as best as possible. Mark my words. The dumber you keep it, the better. I remember one black man wrote a book about how to date online, right? And he said it personally, if you are a black man on here, right? Let's say you're black, right? You want to not use traditional language. You don't want to sound like you have common sense or know how to write a well thought sentence when you communicate with the lovely ladies. What I mean, most women in their mind, in their hearts, believe that black men are dumb. The dudes that they deal with are dumb. Some that maybe might have finished high school, some probably did not finish high school. And the way how they revert coerce or that lingo is a dumb lingo for this woman to understand. Like literally, you gotta dumb down the language to get attention of the black woman, in lack of better words. And I didn't want to believe it, but when I saw it firsthand, it makes sense because they think and they operate that they move better than you. They're more superior. So they got ones that be more intellect while you are trained conditioned to be dumb. This explains why. And it makes sense why. If their sons can't read properly, it makes better sense because you're training your sons to be dumb and be a buck. I mean, what else could I say? You're training your son to be dumb. Like literally, you're training your son to be dumb. And that's not my coincidence. You're initially doing this now. If your sons can't read properly, how do you think he's gonna write properly? Oh, I forgot. You don't want that. It's pretty evident when these boys become an age and they are using the dating sites like OkCupid, Tag, what else are the dating sites? Match. I forgot forgot all these. Even Meaty, which I did on another live stream that you could probably check out at the end of this live stream. How there's even a website now that you have to pay just to have a conversation with a chick. Imagine that. That's just sad. But anyhow, let's keep going. Fair use.
Just like these kind of really crazy, almost like little short stories or poems that people are sending out to each other that like describe them and they think is going to be a good hook to get a reply.
So to be fascinating to a woman.
Exactly, that's the goal. Right, exactly. Right.
So this is what I know inherently.
Right, because you're a legendary ladies
this
man
is
from
why
New
I
York
was
City.
such a legend in New York was because I'll tell you what it was. I'm going to tell you some things I think.
All right. So
you tell me if I'm
on
right
me?
or wrong.
Okay.
All right, number one, I think if you are somebody who is enthusiastic about what you do in life, women find that absolute, and I can't speak to what men find attractive, because I haven't dated many men, just a couple. But the point is, I think that people who are enthusiastic about whatever it is they do, that's very attractive to women. Am I right or am I wrong? Or just the data?
I mean, I don't have any data on
Oh, you don't have data
but,
on that one?
No, but that also fits my intuition. Nobody wants to date somebody who's bored. 'Cause
Yeah.
If you're bored, you're boring. You know?
So if you wanted to fake it, just being absolutely an architecture nerd and being so into architecture that it was unbelievable. Your books stacked up and paintings, and you would be writing notes about architecture and going to architecture museums, and that would be fascinating to a woman. Oh my God.
To some women, for sure.
I think many women would be very attracted to, like, oh, this person's got something they're passionate about.
Yeah, he's got a deal. Yeah.
Right. So what about being funny? Because listen, I know I'm not the most attractive guy. Objectively, if I was going to get rated, I'd be rated like a 3. I'm not the ugliest guy.
Okay, Cupid. It would be a lot harsher than that.
I'd be a 2.5 in OK Cupid land. Sure. I'm not deluding myself. But I always thought I was a pretty funny guy. That's why I have my own talk show.
Sure, right. Yeah.
And I set up a couple cameras. But the point is, I think being funny means a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
And being enthusiastic. That's why I think I always dated 4s and 5s when I was in fact the 2.
Well, I mean,
now, did you ever correlate the 2s that actually went on the dates with the 4s?
It's
before he answers that. It amazes me. I expect the honesty that most men, on the average, we're not gonna rate ourselves as high as like the ladies are, saying I'm a 10, and some are big and fat. I'm a 10, but some of them don't look attractive in the face. I'm a 10, but they don't really have anything that's naturally what their own. The rating scale that we look at today as humans, like literally, is a self-actualization. We are trying to assert ourselves that we are perfect and we are non-flawed. Like literally, we are non-flawed individuals. And because that thought process, that mentality, when Kevin was alive, he watered down a rating system that really is really adjustable, that makes sense. People could go as high as maybe a 7. Now, you know me, guys. If I'm going to rate and do a rating system, I would say the only people that could fall and line up into 10 spots are a Miss Pageant winner. Let me explain. When you're Miss Universe or a Miss Pageant, where you're rated by a few select people that were in the business or not, and you are competing with other groups of women, not just yourself, but other races of women, white, Hispanic, which is not race, Asian, Indian. You are competing against all other groups of women to be the top-headed, top beautifulest women of not only that pageant or even beautiful woman of this universe. And the one that wins will have the highest reward and achievement, that you are the Miss Universe, you're the Miss Pageant, etc., etc., etc. Those women are actually a 10. Now, if you think about people that are models by perfection, depending on the model, they are very notorious of rating how you are and where you stand as a woman in the business, or what they can use you for. And they just don't rate your face and your body. They rate everything from your eyes. If you have a googly eye, lazy eye, do you have any what do you call it? Deformities, like one toe is bigger than the other, one finger is offline, or even go as far as is one boob bigger than the other. Most likely, they're very notorious to check and rate you as where you stand in regards to perfection. Now, a lot of women, including black women or Western women, will not stand and will deal with that scrutiny, knowing that someone else that will look at your head and say you are not a 10. Hell, they don't want to hear men give an honest rate of what they rate. They want men to sit there and lie to them so they can feel more self-actualizing. Or even, let me tell you some ladies, if a dude got to lie that you're a 10, most likely they just want to get close to you so they can get to clap them cheeks. That's just the honest truth. I'm not proposing giving people women rating. If they tell me rate, I'll tell them, say, listen, I'm going to rate you honestly and you're not going to like it. And most likely I'm not going to rate you as a 10. That's how I would roll, personally. But other than that, the rating system is only geared to the top, highest form if you're not in a pageant or you're not even a contestant of Miss Universe and won it all. That's how I view rating systems. On that, you only go high as a 7. And don't get me started on the celebrities. I'm not gonna get into that. But anyway, let's continue listening. The fair use.
In other words, guys who were dating girls who were much more attractive to them objectively.
It first of all, that rarely happens on a dating site because that's one flaw in the system. It's very image oriented. Right? But it does happen. I mean, being funny helps on OkCupid. It helps in person. It helps everywhere.
Right.
But humor, enthusiasm, these are things that the mind can immediately pick up. But it's almost impossible to make an algorithm to pick up a joke. Right.
Right.
So it's very hard for us to even recognize that that's going on. I think it is. I think a long-held belief by mankind that being funny helps romantically, and I'm sure it's true, but I don't have any data on that at all.
See, that would be if there was a way to get deeper into the data and know that. God, how would you even conduct that experiment?
It would be brutal. I mean, you'd have to figure out whether someone was funny or not, and that's
right.
First
so
of all
you
a matter of
somebody, you might be able to figure out if somebody was funny offline. So if you actually took 1,000 people and you could figure out if somebody was considered funny by their friends, and then took their OkCupid accounts.
Yeah, you could run some surveys and stuff, but like we always try to we try to stay away from surveys as much as possible on OkCupid.
Right.
We go, I mean, everything in the book, almost everything we do at the company is based on kind of observed data that people give us basically without us having to ask. So looking at what people click on, who they go out and message, rather than who they say they'll go message, because those things are often very different.
All right, this is the one that I think a lot of people find fascinating. Men is rated by women, and women rated as men. So it sort of gets to what we've been talking about here.
Yeah, these are the kind of, these are just white to take the racial component out of it.
This takes the racial component out of it.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if we ever got anywhere with the race discussion, like other than, God, it's depressing in some ways.
Yeah, it's a hard problem to confront.
Well, I do, but I have to say I admire you as a data nerd. Can I call you a data nerd?
Sure.
That's probably accurate.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, you wrote a whole book about data.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If anybody's a data nerd, it's you,
Right.
Christian. So the point is, I think it's so brave of you to put it out there. I mean, that must have, I remember when that came out 2 years ago or something, it was like really created a lot of discussion. Was there something that came out of the discussion that made you feel hopeful or good?
Well, that people were discussing it, and that, like with something like this, like racism is a problem far beyond the reach of any, dating site entrepreneur or data nerd. It's like a societal level thing. And I think what you can do is data like this that's hard, that's just evidence in general, I think, is very important to get into the discussion because there's so much taboo, there's so much emotion, there's denial, there's accusation. And having evidence of any kind thrown in there, I think, just helps clarify the discussion. Like, I mean, at least in online dating, and a person can decide for himself how far that extends into the rest of life, but there's no question there's like a certain amount of white privilege, or at least it's inverse. So black disprivilege or whatever you want to call it, and so there's all this
Yeah.
debate about what does it exist,
Hundreds of years of slavery.
Right, yeah, right.
Hundreds of years of
Right.
segregation and racism. I mean,
Right, and people
we
wanna
have some
say-
reasons that we could fall back on that. This
Sure,
is
sure.
The case,
And
yeah.
but it's an ongoing, people want to say that society is post-racial. It doesn't matter what color you are. It matters that if you break the law, this kind of thing is bound to happen. The same types of things they're saying about Michael Brown or whatever,
Yeah.
and I think that
Yeah, we're all being proven wrong on that. I mean, I've said we're moving towards a post-race society.
Yeah.
And now you know what? I think I'm wrong.
Well,
I'm like getting kind of depressed about it. I kind of was hopeful because I see all these signs of it over here, and then I look to like other places like policing, and you see the opposite.
Well, it's got to be better than it was in the 50s, right? I mean, so
I gotta hope, but I mean, it doesn't feel different, does it?
well, it's just these things are very like, these are like problems that transcend a human lifetime. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's
this
longer
is,
than
like,
our lifetime.
It's
right?
insane to expect it to
like
be
in a
different over the course
100-year
of 3 years or something.
100-year lens. Right now, and this chart is very.
All right. I mean, I guess the podcaster was hoping, praying that we are moving beyond our so-called post-racial society. But like I said earlier in this broadcast, racism is a normal thing. It is a necessity of American culture, unfortunately. If you don't have it, people do not function well without the racists. And that's just the honest truth. Now, will we be in a post-racial society? Only time that's going to happen is when there are very little or non-existent black folks, and everybody else is either white or other. Maybe that might bring a different element of we're in a post-racial society. Maybe, but really, truly, even that they'll probably create more racists. Since there's no black people to complain about or harm or do anything, they'll just go out and deal with other groups that are not white, basically. So, I mean, I think about it, it is kind of depressing for those that think that times should change and we should be up on times, but that's not how life really works. It would be nice in a fantasy world that we live in a post-racial society, but we're not. So, anyhow, let's keep going. Various.
Interesting. And I'm going to have you
hope so.
explain what the chart is, but not explain what's going on yet, because I'm going to tease it and then do a commercial.
Okay.
So here,
this is just a basic histogram of attractiveness
fancy word for
ratings.
bar chart.
Thank you. Sorry, a distribution of people's attractiveness on OkCupid. So
Got it.
the red is men's ratings as given to them by women, and the gray is women's ratings as given to them by the men.
And then the dark red is the overlap.
The dark red is the overlap. That's supposed to just be the
And
transparency.
so we're seeing that in this, just briefly before we go to commercial, that the men rating women feels like pretty close to a bell curve.
Yeah, it's a pretty
But
well-centered distribution. Yeah.
Men rated by women.
Yeah, the women are
is
much
skewing
harsher. Yeah.
Really harsh.
They're very
And when
harsh,
we get
yeah.
back, we're going to discuss why that might be on This Week in Startups. Yes, Scott Walker.
All right. Make sure you guys hit the like button, share the stream, and please become a member of the Chaos Reign Show. I will put those links as we go through the rest of this tape. One thing, women are always gonna be harsh in regards to mate selection, because now most women, by default, they look for more attractive dude mostly. If they're well built, even better. But usually, attraction, if we want to be honest, usually is a male thing overall. Because if you're not attracted if the male's not attracted to, he is not going to really entertain you, most likely. Personally. But because we live in a very bizarre, backward society, it's like roles and even functionality of men and women are in reverse. That's why you see a lot of women trying to shame men to taking them any way they come to the table. They said, take me as I am. No, I'm very much fake. I use filters. Take me as I am, but normally I am big, like really big. Big. Take me as I am. I mess around, I might have 1 or 2 kids, maybe 3. Ain't nothing. Stepdaddy season. So take me as I am. You know it is. And I do say, oh no, I'll just pass. I don't want to take you as I am. Well, I want to take you as I am. I don't like taking you as I am. I want to take someone that looks decent. What's this? All right. So let me fast forward this. Hold on. All right. Let's listen and let's keep listening. Fair use, fair use.
Term relationship.
All right. As we wait.
And This Week in Startups. Let's get back to this amazing episode.
Okay, so
Hey, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. You can follow the show at TWI Startups, and you can follow Christian Rudder at Rudder, R-U-D-D-E-R, on the Twitter, and I'm at...
and that's the Christian Rudder.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it lends itself to some.
God, man, all
unfortunate
of high
puns.
school must have been like, you're heading in the right direction?
Yeah, there
Did
can
your
be some
teachers
of
do that to you? Like,
No, the
hey, your
teachers-
scores are heading in the right direction, Mr. Rudder.
And now teachers kind of left me alone, but you
Really?
know, yeah,
I would have tortured you. I would have been coming up with every pun possible. That
Yeah.
was a joke.
yeah. Me and Jed were pretty
Yeah, and
pretty
you,
hard
hey,
to deal with.
that's an
so-
interesting aside. You went to school in Arkansas, Little Rock,
Yeah, in Little Rock. Yeah.
with Jed, the founder of Ripple and Stellar, which are the two of the top 5,
and don't forget Mount Gox
and Mount Gox.
and
So-
eDonkey.
and eDonkey,
Yeah.
which was like a peer-to-peer sharing thing. But just in terms of like cryptocurrency,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy, if anybody is Satoshi, it's him.
It's not. It's not him,
All roads lead to Jed.
but he has always been an early adopter of things. Like he
You
was
were friends with him since you were 10, 11?
11. Yeah, I was 11. I
So he was was an early adopter of what?
Everything. I mean, punk rock, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I've learned so much random crap from that dude.
Wow.
I don't know,
So
all
he
kinds
was
of
your
stuff.
dungeon master.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Literally, he rolled the 4-sided die. And
And mostly 20s, but yeah.
Mostly 20s.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But you do as a 4-sided die or a 30-sided die.
Occasionally,
and then
when we were fighting hand to hand, there was a 4-sided die.
There was a 4-sided die
Yeah.
and hand to hand. My God, the nerditude on this show. Right now, there's like 3-4 people who are like, what are they talking about? What's a 4-sided die? Look it up on the Google.
It's a tetrahedron.
You know what? I always loved the 4-sided die. I didn't know it was a tetrahedron. What were you? You were chaotic neutral, like me.
Yeah, or usually chaotic good, just because, I mean,
I was
you're
chaotic neutral.
out there killing goblins and shit.
I was a little kind of like Boba Fettish. You know what
Sure,
I'm saying in
there
my
you go.
approach.
I think Boba Fett is probably chaotic evil in the Dungeons and Dragons world.
Is he really? I kind of think he's chaotic neutral because I think if Han Solo paid more, he would have like brought Darth Vader to Jabba the Hutt. I think whoever paid more, he would have done. I think it's very neutral.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I think he's a badass, but I think he's kind of neutral. Welcome to This Week in Nerds. My guest today, Christian Rudder and Jason Calacanis, talking about the alignment of their Dungeons and Dragons characters. What was that called?
Alignment.
Alignment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It was your alignment. Oh my God, I miss Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's an awesome game.
I would like to get like a 40-year-old guy Dungeon and Dragon thing going. That would be
It's sweet. I mean,
hysterical.
we still play sometimes. Yeah,
What?
it's been a while. I mean, Jed had kids, and then I have a kid.
I
so
would like to get invited to that.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, we were up on Mount Gundersnort. I think that's where the adventure stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
You all just got slaughtered. What happened? No healing potions?
Well, we
All
got
right.
frozen in time because we all had we all had kids.
All right, well, I'm
So-
putting my invisible cloak.
Yeah, let me see if I can fast forward this, guys.
Data,
Sure.
25 million people, whatever, hundreds of millions, billions of behaviors.
Yeah, lots of behavior.
Lots of scoring
There's lots of
over the
behavior.
decade. You guys been in business for a decade, right?
Yep, we have.
All right. Now, this is confounding to me.
Well,
What is going on here that I would always think that men, and you write this in the book, which I thought was a fascinating point, men are trained by, we hear this narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Men have been trained by magazine covers, Photoshop magazine covers,
Spanx.
Spanx, plastic surgery,
Sure.
the insanity of Coors Light commercials. Everything tells men that, no offense, Coors Light, but whatever it is,
None
you know,
taken, I'm
Taste of the
sure.
Rockies, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that women are X. And if they're not X, they're nothing, right? Like if
Yeah.
they don't have these attributes, physical attributes.
Right, or that men just would absorb kind of unreasonable expectations of how real people should look.
All right, very well said there, Christian. Better than I could say. Then women, we all would like to think, would be more level-headed than guys who maybe are just, and it is true, guys are visually stimulated more than women. Women are orally stimulated with an A more than men in psychology. This is true, yes?
Sure. Yeah.
This is proven in psychology.
No, I
right?
believe you. I'm just laughing at the pun.
Oh, well, I just want to make sure nobody thinks I'm being vulgar. But that is the truth. But then we see this crazy thing with women, and they're haters.
Well, I mean,
women are haters. They're all giving men twos.
Yeah, they are. I mean, and just to be clear, the first and obvious reaction here is like, oh man, everybody, all the dudes on OkCupid are ugly. Let's shut the site down. It's over. And we actually went through this. We took 1,000 random dudes and comped them against 1,000 random guys of similar demographics from a social network and ran them both through the same apparatus. They come out the same score. So I think guys on OkCupid are just as average looking as the women.
See that? There you have it. So I'm not sure where they find it that you go on these dating sites, you're gonna find a slightly above average people on the dating sites, especially when it comes to men. Men are not in regards to looks above average. Most of us are either what they consider average or maybe below average. There's such thing, personally, but nonetheless, there's no slightly above average. Now, in regards to the man makes more money, and he's like pull in $500,000 or more, he might jump a few points to be slightly above average in regards to the income. But all this other stuff, in regards to good looks and all that stuff, no. And most likely, other men don't really waste time to say that, we do. Men should always be prettier than women anyway, to be honest with you. Let's be honest. Hold on. All right. Hold on. Let me do this. All right. All right, so let's continue.
So it's not that you have
It's not that they're
ugly
ugly,
guys.
right? Thank you for saying it simply.
And you prove that because you, from what I read in the book, great book, Dataclysm, go buy it now. The point is, you looked at the photos of people on social media and you ran the numbers against those as well.
Yeah,
so you did a little testy poo.
Yeah, we did a little testy poo. That's exactly. I'm glad you used the technical term.
Yeah.
So the but I think what's going on here is that in online dating and in offline dating too, women in the straight case, men are the pursuers and women do the selecting. They pick which guy they want, right? And it's especially true online. And so this, I think, is just women being more selective with who they want to message. And in fact, and you see, we're now owned by IAC, so who also owns Match, also owns Tinder. So you can actually see these curves on those across all three properties. And so the more kind of, the more I'd say the sort of sex is on the table in terms of proposition of the website. Tinder is a little bit more casual. Match is a little bit less casual. And so
and OkCupid is in between.
Kind of in between, yeah. And so Tinder, those curves move even further apart. Match, they move closer together.
So let me repeat this back to you to see if I actually understood it. When scoring, women are more discerning because they believe that this could result in intimacy.
Yeah.
Men, perhaps, less discerning because they're up for intimacy on maybe a less discerning basis.
I think the male curve barely moves. It's really the female curve that moves around.
Okay, so we'd say men are just standard.
They're just they're kind of like down to whatever.
Right.
And so they kind of end up...
DTF, as the kids say.
Yes, DTF, exactly. Or DTD, down to date, whatever it is. But yeah.
Down to have fun for those people.
Down to have so much fun.
My mom's watching, just means down to have fun, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. So the men kind of have the same curve on all three sites, and it's the female curve that moves around.
Interesting. What do you think the impact is, since it's a sister company, of Tinder? Because now you're looking at the arc of your career and the arc of what you created. I'm assuming you're a 35-year-old guy or something?
39-year-old guy, yeah.
You're a 40-year-old, basically. I don't mean to make you feel old.
That's all right.
But as an old dude, you look at this young thing coming out, Tinder, that's I guess used primarily by 20-somethings.
Yeah, primarily, yeah.
What does it say something about the nature of how millennials versus Gen Xers want to date and how they date?
Well, I mean,
I'll answer that. Between the type of Gen Xer and millennial, two different curves. If you think about it now, the only people that will still deal with black women at this point are people for that Gen Xers. Oh, oh. Gen Xers and millennials. And I would say all millennials from 1979 up to 1994. Now, a lot of people keep questioning, saying, I thought millennials start at 81 or around 84. No, it starts around the end of the 70s up to the first mid parts of the 90s. Predominantly. But neither here or there. Millennials today. And Gen Xers deal with black women's nonsense. And really truly, some have messed around with non-black women. But they're never going to take them to the point where they're going to say, I'm just going to search out and marry out. Most likely. That conversation now. Like literally. But personally, that's something that is a conscious decision at the end of the day. To marry that out, I think people that was born in 1995 up to present day, and I would say up to 2015, over close to 20 years, they are more prone to not really give mostly black women a time of day on the average now. And the reason why that is because, let's be fair, honest, they don't see the value. They probably might have felt some form of traumatic instance with young girls, or hell, even within their own household with their mother. Maybe that is. And some of these young dudes that are Gen Zs are not going to have it. Now, don't get me wrong, some black women, young black girls, have been messing around outside too a little bit more. But the problem is they're not getting really longer results. And if they are getting results, it goes back again that these are more the preferred choice. And they will put up with non-black men's ish before they'll put up with I guess black man's ish. I think that's how it goes. 1 second, guys. Gotta make sure everything's still functioning. So they'll put up with it a little bit, and they'll put up a little bit more. And some of these young black men are not just going to have it. Let's just keep it real. And that's just the honest truth. So overall, someone from the previous two generations are going to deal with black women to the point where they might even shame these young dudes to deal with black women, but really truly that's not going to work in the short run and long term. I look at most of these old podcasters or people that do shows on the internet, from the Steve Harveys to the one dude I'm probably going to play that had an interview with Ebony K. Williams. They're going to keep sucking up to black women till the wheels fall off. Personally. And that's fine. That's fine. But the problem is, you got to convince young black boys that are young men to really still deal with the sisters, no matter how outrageous or outlandish their behavior is today. And I don't see it happening. But anyhow, let's continue on. Let's keep listening. Fair use.
I don't know. When Tinder first came out, I think in a vacuum, I would have said this, what you just said, and but this has been the best year over year for OkCupid too. It hasn't been eating away at our user base. I think honestly, Tinder has really been has kind of knocked down or destroyed that last bit of stigma around meeting someone through a device or through a computer.
Got it.
Kind of to get back from your earlier comments about chat rooms and BBSs and stuff, back when there was a ton of stigma around it, and that kind of eliminated it, I think,
And
permanently
really,
from
it's the mobile
discussion.
phone, because mobile phones are cool.
Yeah,
and this is
the
just
coolness, the pervasiveness, the
Right.
ease, and I think it's a great service. And I think it's introducing
Once again, guys.
people to, to get businessy. It's just kind of growing the segment, So it's been very good for us.
What about the nature of how people become intimate and date? Because as explained to me, and I don't know if this is just fear mongering or people being exaggerating a little bit. Young people today like to perhaps hook up and then determine if they want to have a relationship. And sex is less about a relationship leads to sex, as opposed to sex can lead to a relationship. Is that true, or is that just some bizarre perception that old people have, like, these young whippersnappers are having one-night stands or sex on the first date? Nah.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the kind of tragedies of running a dating site is you never, especially if you're interested in data, you never get any data on the dates. You don't get any data on sex. You only know that very first kind of interaction of like, hey, what's up? You look cool. Hey, you want to get a beer? That's pretty much our entire exposure to the process. So I don't know.
What about gay data, bi data, all this kind of stuff? Trans, like you guys obviously have those users in the system as
course,
well. Is
yeah.
there a difference when you look across?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to find some fell. Yeah, like the guy said, trends following, and one other thing to really add on to this. And usually with the dating sites, usually it's more primary focus on more heterosexual relationships and everything else, for those that don't know. And let's keep real. Where the money's at is usually that's where most people go on dating site, because usually all dating sites are more focused on mostly these type of relationships. Hold on a second, guys. So let's keep going.
Statistics, we looked at race as one.
I mean, in terms of like
vector.
what they're looking for in a relationship, or kind of the general approach to sex and life, there's no difference.
No difference.
No.
What about gay men and gay women? Because I'm quite an expert on this.
Okay.
Because I watch The L Word.
Okay, sure.
And additionally, I watch, what's the gay show on HBO? Somebody help me out here. Everyone running producer Jackie, do a quick Google search. What's the show that I've been watching on HBO about the gay guys? And it's not, The Sopranos is a lot of gay guys. That's true. Paulie Walnuts. Tons of jokes there. No, I watched The L Word, and then I watched not Queer as Folk. It's the new one. I love these gay shows. It's fascinating to me.
Game of Thrones?
Looking, thank you. There it is. Game of Thrones. No, it's not.
It's a lot of leather.
You're a funny dude, man. In like a really non-obvious way. Okay, but then you have this concept in the lesbian world, this stereotypical thing, U-hauling. They're looking to...
Sure.
U-hauling is the term they use on the L Word for like,
Right,
they meet each other and they
immediately
move in.
Right, sure.
And then gay guys, you have the opposite thing on looking, which is, hey, we're dating, but by all means, you can have casual sex with another person. Does that come out in the numbers? Do you have like a high frequency for gay men and then a low frequency for women? They like leave the site for a year and then come back and U-haul again?
No, I mean, the U-Haul component, we don't really know because we're not out renting trailers to people.
But you would know that that they would come to the site and then disappear and go dark for a while.
But see,
right?
that's the thing that sucks about it, is that we don't know. But they could go dark because they hate OkCupid, or because
that's a fair point.
they moved to France, and I don't know, So like we try not to infer things that we have no information on. You do see a little bit. There are more gay men on average have this roughly the same number of, say, sex partners, at least self-reported sex partners, as the other groups. They do. There is a kind of higher likelihood of extreme promiscuity, or self-reported again. Among gay men. But again, this data is a little. I mean, it's useful, and I think people are generally honest, but it's definitely noisier than our normal stuff.
Well, if people are self-reporting, it's going to be totally different, right? Like,
right, of course.
I think some guys, like heterosexual guys, I'm just thinking out loud here, might report like, I've had all this con.
Make sure you guys hit the like button, share the stream. Like always, know the deal, know the drill. Leave a comment, prefer a super chat, depending on the question. But nonetheless, leave a comment. And now they're talking about some other weird stuff. Let me see if I can go through this. Give me a second, guys. Trying to get some things organized here. This here. This right here. Anyway, let me keep running because I'll be wasting time. Let me keep playing. Fair use.
Conquest.
Sure, right.
Women might lower the number of conquests to
Right.
be,
Right.
more
Yeah.
bashful or whatever.
Right.
Like, there's
in
all
terms
kinds
of
of
in terms of
weirdness.
self-reporting, which at least indicates some norm. They're at least working to some shared set of expectations if the number is all the same.
All right, what about this one
so-
with the man's age versus the age of women who look best to him?
Oh, let's see.
Because
Okay,
men seem to be
it's a
pretty.
tiny little chart.
It's a tiny little chart. I'm trying to zoom in on it. We'll zoom in on it in post. But I can't seem to get this one to zoom in here.
it's
Let me see
okay.
if I can. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom.
Computers got us. Now it's so big.
Oh, God. Now it's too big. Enter full screen. Boom. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, here we go.
Oh,
a man's
nice. Well
age
done.
versus the age of women who look best to him.
Okay,
So age range entered as a search preference.
yeah, so this is kind of the end of a series of charts in the book that I kind of like build up to a conclusion. The conclusion here being that those numbers in red, first the numbers in black on the left, the far left, are the age of the men stating the preference or showing the
So
preference.
50-year-old men are stating a preference of a 22-year-old woman?
That's the observed preference. Those are the women they rate hottest. Yeah. So basically,
my God.
Yeah. So men pretty much no matter how old they are, think the youngest possible women are the hottest.
It's literally 20, 21, 23, and then for some reason 45-year-olds go as old as, I'm
Yeah, it's just
laughing
some
here,
noise.
24 years old.
Right.
But that's their implicit behavior.
Yeah, that's their observed behavior. Yeah.
They clicked and rated higher 20 to 24-year-olds.
Yeah, right. So men got older, but their tastes don't necessarily grow up.
But the
That's how I would
preference
put
they
it.
put in when they explicitly stated it,
Right. So the explicit statement is that kind of gray swath, and so as you can see,
35 to 50
Right.
or 30 to 50,
Yeah,
they
so
said they were open to all those ranges, but their clicks were on the 20-year-olds.
Right. Of course. Yeah. But the interesting thing in the book, I expand on this and compare it to how women rate men. The reverse.
There's a reason for that. Depending on the age of the man, he's probably depending on his, and we could say where his economic status is. Maybe he's more at this point. Once he gets older, he is. If he doesn't have kids, but most of them don't, they look for someone to hopefully to procreate. Most likely. That's why they'll look and search for someone that's a little younger. Most likely. So that makes sense why the age range will be different from that overall by default. So, and let's be honest, most women nowadays, if they're not getting their dudes in the early start stage of the game, you're playing catch up. I mean, you still get somebody older, but most likely, if they deal with you and they deal with your nonsense, they're not gonna really deal with it for long. I mean, by default. So I don't know, but let's keep listening. Fair use.
So
Yeah, and what's the reverse?
women want a man to be basically their same age. So like in this same chart, like a 25-year-old woman thinks 25-year-old guys are hottest, 30 to 30, 35 to 35. At 40, so I'm 39. At 40, that's kind of when guys hit the wall. So women who get old, the women will keep getting older there, but they would prefer a guy not get any older. To use the analogy from over there.
So
like a 45-year-old
women will
woman.
pick somebody their same age, but when they hit 45, they'll pick 40.
Yeah, they kind
At
of
50,
stop
they'll
at
pick 39.
Yeah, the progression sort of stops at 40.
Got it. So
roughly.
they'll want to be in sync with the age, and then when they become a quote-unquote cougar, as
Yeah, sure.
my wife, who just turned 40, is fond to joke about, the cougar crowd wants younger men, as
Sure.
is the stereotype.
Wait, before we go to that, wait a minute. Did y'all hear that? So it seems to me there is a weird mating strategy here. The older you ladies want, you want dudes stop at 45? Really now? But it said most men, they'll make the most and the top peak of the money, and usually that's subjective. Let's keep it real. Because usually if you're 50, you can still make more money. Let's keep real. There are people that might be the top 1%, 2%, 3%, still making money as a speaker and not stopping yet. So I can't go by that notion that a man's gonna really tap out at 55. Personally, but that's me. But really, truly, these women, after they touch that 45 range and up, and they're not dealing with someone that's close to age, maybe they'll deal with someone that's 50, they're going to start screwing younger dudes. And that's when, most ladies could be treading into the field of pedo areas. Possibly. I say possibly. Not exact, possibly. And Norman, I'm saying this because let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. I think with most ladies, right? They want a dude after a certain age, right? To still clap them cheeks. And the older they get, it doesn't get simpler. Matter of fact, from what it said, their sexual cravings get worse as they get older. So if a man still able to keep up, which some men can if they keep their health in order. Usually the diet is mostly essential because when your diet's poor, it's going to affect the blood flow of your heart and all other parts of your organs. Let's keep real. And here in the world, terrible. Let's keep real with y'all. So knowing this, they're going to think that your thing going to stop working at age 45, age 40. Hell, they think your shit's going to stop functioning by the time you hit 50. Which is possible. I'm not saying it's exact, but it can possibly. But to those that don't know, I really don't know, that's subjective. And let's be honest, because they create the thing called the blue pill, it helps, but it does not really secure anything nowadays, especially if you have to keep constantly using that just to maintain your performance. You know what I mean? So let's hear more about this. But that's something very interesting that I caught on. And I hope other content creators catch on that as well if they do this coverage, if they get to this point. Fair use. Let's continue.
And women's kind of implicit and explicit preferences align a lot more than the men's. There isn't that divergence. They kind of say what they want, and then they go and do that same thing.
I think this goes back to, because, I was a psychology major in undergrad, and so I have just enough information to get myself in trouble. But theories of causation, which you're a correlation guy, but a psychologist would be a causation person. The causation here, I could see two. One is, if you're asking to visually rate somebody, just young people might actually be physically more attractive.
Sure.
They have less wrinkles.
Yeah, that's no secret. I mean, if you go look at covers of magazines or who's a model, they're all young.
Yeah. Now, the second thing, though, is on a biological imperative, I wonder where fertility is the highest. I'm going to guess, and without knowing, that, actually, we all know for a fact that as you get to 40, your fertility would go down for women, and at 20, you would probably, I don't know if that's the peak or not, but it's definitely up there in the peak.
Sure.
So this could be on a causation basis, maybe.
I'm sure there's some
a biological
things going on. Yeah. And I've talked to people who work at 538, Nate Silver's blog, and people at Facebook.
Now this is very interesting. Let me rewind this back for y'all. All right, let's listen again.
You get to 40, your fertility would go down for women, and at 20, you would probably, I don't know if that's the peak or not, but it's definitely up there in the peak.
Sure.
So this could be on a causation basis, maybe.
I'm sure there's some
a biological
things going on. Yeah. I've talked to people who work at 538, Nate Silver's blog, and people at Facebook, and anybody who works with big data will say, the more time you spend with it, the more it kind of confirms your intuition about people, but it adds a specificity to it that's interesting, where you can actually go look at the numbers. Like, it is no secret that guys like younger women for perhaps these reasons that you're laying out. But it's cool to be able to go look and say, oh, they really, here's the data on that.
This is black and white to a level that is almost, it almost seems comical.
Right, exactly, yeah. That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah, it's so specific that it becomes funny, how true to type people can be. Which is one of the things that I like the most about, my job, doing what I do.
So do you have all this data? Is there any data that you didn't release, that you looked at and said, radioactive, or I just don't want it to be out there? I suppose not, because you put out the most radioactive thing I can
Yeah, but
imagine,
there-
which is saying that one type of woman is rated a full point lower than everybody else.
Right. I mean, there's nothing that's really, after that, especially, there's nothing really that radioactive in there. There's definitely plenty of stuff I didn't talk about or didn't get to or didn't think to get to. Somebody suggested that I should kind of look at how people maybe get more desperate the longer they're on OkCupid, and maybe their standards relax.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it would be very interesting, which I haven't looked at. Obviously, we have the data on that. So
That's a really
there's all
interesting
kinds of
one.
interesting stuff in there.
Because I can tell you, watching my wife talk to her friends who are 10 years younger, like, they go from being extremely high standards in a mate, and I watch her convince them, like, to settle, and then I'm just like, sweetie, I don't understand. Why are you asking them to settle when you never settled? And this is super hypocritical. And then she laughs and she goes, I kind of did. What about experiments? Because Facebook did, as you know,
Yep.
experiments where they tried to make people
Yeah, I know they
more depressed.
Now, see,
Or
I have an issue
they
with that.
introduced them. You explain to me your understanding of the study.
Well, they changed people's news feed to take.
Now, as you know from listening, and they're gonna get to the part with settling. I'm at the point where they're talking about this thing about settling. If you did not know what you want from the beginning stage of life, then by default, someone's gonna settle for you when you're older. I mean, let's get this straight, and this applies to all economic status with women. If you don't want to settle, you better get it while you're still at the top and get the best offer and make a deal. I think this Western culture gives too much women the delusions that they have a lot of options, clearly. And the consequence of all that, now you're too picky to the point now you don't even want to make a conscious decision, especially if a dude that you, like I said, you like. But what happens here to a lot of men, and if you go back to the previous broadcast about simping and the revolution of simping, that a lot of ladies in their mind, they believe that they can come back to you at any age or any baggage. They come to you after you do what's necessary to make yourself better. And there's going to be a point where the generation that's now coming alongside me, anybody else, they're not going for that. So they can rate their standards as high as they want about what they don't want to do or what they won't settle. And then the market does decide who's selling who. So keep that in mind, ladies. And we all know this is true with that, gentlemen. Let's keep going. I want to hear more of this.
To show, they have a little script that recognizes supposedly negative content, and they showed more of that content to people and wanted to see what would happen. And that's people complaining about their breakfast or that they're stuck in traffic versus, oh, hey, my kid just won an award. I mean, it's the same stuff.
They dialed up the negative.
They did. Right. But I think the intent, attributing an intent to that is wrong because, Schadenfreude is a thing. It's a perfectly plausible that might have made people happier. Be like, my friend's life sucked. My life is awesome,
All right, but.
Right. It turned out, now that it turned out that it made people post more negative stuff themselves, but by a very small amount, like a 0.5%, I think.
Okay,
more likely.
so an amount that is notable but perhaps not significant. Noticeable but not significant.
I would say, I think it was statistically significant but not notable.
Yeah, because but now let me ask you this. When doing an experiment.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, and I'm sure all your listeners realize this, every single site is running experiments all the time.
They are.
Of course, right.
Now, what experiments have you done?
I mean, we experiment with all kinds of stuff on OkCupid.
Give me a couple that you did that actually had a result that we would find interesting or fascinating, or that made you change the business in some way.
Well, they all lead to a business change, no matter how mundane. So you change
which ones were the most significant?
You change the layout of an email or whatever, and clicks go up,
fine.
this kind of thing.
That's UX change, but let's do behavioral change. Now
Well, I'm definitely not trying to debate you on this, but
no, let's debate. That's the whole point of the show.
but
let's get into it.
In a website where people are using to mediate their lives, whether it's OkCupid or Facebook, even the simplest UX change could have lasting repercussions. If we have we change the size of pictures or how we order the pictures or even the text that gets you to click. If we say we change some verb, whatever, like you might in an email subject line, and for whatever reason that resonates on you, you click that day, you see someone that you meet, you might marry that person, right? That's so that experiment, quote, has changed your life. Or it didn't. You didn't go there and you didn't have your life altered in any way. So I think it's a false distinction between UX changes, algorithmic changes. It's all part and parcel of what we do.
I disagree.
Okay, fair enough.
And here's why.
Okay.
What if, but because I do think that some of these things could affect somebody in a very negative way, and you'd have to think about maybe getting their permission. So in the example of the Facebook one, bombarding somebody with negative signals, if the person, let's say there were 10 people out of 10,000, right? Not even 1%, 10 bips, who were borderline suicidal, borderline manic, what.
All right. Make sure you guys hit the like button, share the stream. He's going to be talking about the consent, which I said earlier in the stream, which ironically, surprisingly, they always been keeping tabs and keeping track of data. But the biggest question we ask, are they disclosing that data? Because they're always constantly monitoring to how to make improvements onto the app, which that's what they're doing. For people that's not aware or familiar with, the man proof this lay out the evidence that they are doing this. So unlike Facebook and all those other apps, they have to disclose that now. What is Cupid and other dating sites really doing that? They're probably doing it now. Since this interview, because this interview is like maybe I'm gonna double check when this interview is done, just to check when it was done. But I would say this interview is like roughly maybe 3 years old. Maybe. I could be wrong. But nonetheless, they're now doing it now. So let's continue listening in to see their rational answers. Now I'm not gonna wind back because he already said it, which I confirm.
Whatever, and were on antidepressants and maybe had the wrong dose, and 3 or 4 of them could have easily been tipped over into suicidal thoughts. Might there not be some judgment that needs to be given to non-psychologists bombarding the public with negative ideas? What if somebody killed themselves over it?
But I mean,
Certainly it's possible.
Well, there's a lot of things that are possible. I mean, imagine Facebook made a game that made people really excited and loved to play, and therefore they became more sedentary and had a heart attack. So, I mean, like you're
all right,
you're
fair enough.
running down
So
some very long rabbit hole here.
I did talk to Mark Pincus about that, and I said, Mark, how does it feel to waste everybody's time with Farmville? He said,
sure, right.
How many coins are they buying?
Right.
But anyway.
So like, I mean,
All right, but there is a big difference.
But in bombarding is I think the people who ran the experiment would disagree with that word as well. Like it's a tweak to all of these algorithms are, whether it's Netflix recommending a movie, Facebook choosing some of your friends' news to show you, OkCupid choosing a person to show you, Amazon telling you what book you might want to buy next. There's no solved way to do these things. There are experiments run on these things all the time.
There is in the psychology space, and as you know, I have an undergraduate degree from Fordham University in psychology. You do get peer-reviewed, and you review the experiment to make sure that
for some, but not all experiments.
Not all, but it becomes obvious.
What becomes obvious?
For psychologists, it becomes obvious to them when there is a potential for harm, i.e. the Milgram studies, which I'm sure you are aware of.
I am aware of the Milgram studies.
Had profound impact on the people who took them.
Sure, but they were putting people like
in shocks.
And
they were shocking people.
I mean, they were pretending to shock people, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
they were basically being Nazis on command, and they learned that they had the ability to be an SS officer.
That's just an extreme example that's not necessarily pertinent here. So
you have not done any Nazi experiments on the OkCupid people, you can confirm.
Not that we can confirm. Yes, exactly.
You confirm you have not done that.
Right. I mean, look.
But what about this? Have you done? Let me ask you a question, because this would be a little bit controversial. I think, maybe or maybe not. If you in fact knew that Asian men I think on that chart, like maybe had the least attraction to African American women. It would make sense to not waste their time with more African American women, or if African American women never looked at Asian men or never considered them, you wouldn't want to waste their time showing them a bunch more Asian women. You would tailor them to the race that matters most to them. Do you do that? Do other dating sites do that, do you think?
No, we don't do that exact thing, but we do look at how attractive person A is and then how attractive person B is when deciding whether to show B to A. We do look at that.
So it is happening on an algorithmic basis, but not on a race basis necessarily.
Right.
All right. Okay, as we listen in more and more onto this, yeah, this is good. I ain't gonna lie, this is really good. Now he's going in detail about how the artificial intelligence AIs function in the apps, the website. Now, mind you, how they design the algorithm is the whole intention of the algorithm is designed to keep you from the early part of this broadcast using the platform. If you're not using the platform, then they have to restructure the algorithm so you stay glued into the algorithm. That's how most of these AI works. If it's not keep you onto the platform, then they have to do something different to keep you plugged in. The more you're on the site, the more chances are they're gonna make more money off the site. It is what it is. It's not something that's fooling you. Just don't take it like you're being fooled by not that if they're not putting a commercial or doing certain things that gets you triggered, which really women are more triggered than men. That's not a story. To constantly keep using the site. So keep that in mind. Let's continue. Fair use. And this one with Asian men, yeah, I ain't going to that.
Exactly, yeah. It looks at your score. There's some randomness involved. It looks at a lot of different things. And so the way we surface people are what we're optimizing for is the likelihood that if A is the searcher, that A will message and have a conversation with somebody that we're going to show them. So similarity and attractiveness is a big predictor of that, and that gets involved in the algorithm, of course.
So there is an algorithm that is steering us to our mates.
Of course. I mean, we have a 250,000 active users in New York City alone. Like, we can only show 10 at a time. So given that you're not just randomly pulling people from the database, in which case your site would be
And what about the
worthless.
Love is Blind Day?
Sure. That's
Explain what that is.
Love is Blind Day was the day that, 8 hours, where we turned off all the photos on OkCupid as a promotion for a blind dating app that we had made poorly.
And it resulted in what?
First of all, it resulted in people being like, what the hell is going on here, and not using OkCupid very much that day.
Right.
The secondary effect was the people that did stick around, it turns out had, better than normal conversations. They exchanged contact information more often. Conversations went deeper and had a higher velocity. But then when we kind of turned the lights back on, so to speak, there were a lot of conversations obviously still in progress at that time. And you could see people kind of spook and be like, huh? And so as soon as they got to see each other, those conversations tended to die off super fast. So it was a kind of like, it's like last call at the bar or whatever, at 4 p.m., 4 a.m., they like turn on all the lights and everyone's like, holy shit, I'm drunk, I gotta go home. And that was kind of like how it worked at OkCupid.
See, the interesting thing for me is I wonder sometimes with these collaborative filtering, Netflix algorithm, if we're sending our society to go so deep into the things they already like, that are we so obsessed with engagement and increasing engagement, are we not sending people down a rabbit hole of their own existing preferences, and then in a way not giving them a broader spectrum of what the world has to offer?
For sure. I think you're right. We do. I mean, we don't do collaborative filtering on OkCupid.
Make sure you guys hit the like button, share the stream, and please leave a comment, your thoughts and opinions. I know people watching, and they watching from the clouds. If you want to watch, do it. Oh, and make sure you subscribe to the channel too, and want to interact to the chat room. Let's continue. Fair use.
Right.
for whatever that's worth.
So
But
if your friends like somebody, it's not that you're going to like them.
Yeah, we
Because
don't
that
even know.
actually is not accurate, probably.
yeah, we don't even know who your friends are
Yeah.
on OkCupid. So like, yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I like reading the newspaper in paper form, because you can just kind of look at a bunch of stuff and pick out what you like rather than have to trust the Times algorithm to try to figure out what I'm going to be into. So,
So if
yeah.
for every time we send people down a algorithmically more, 1% more interesting to you,
Mm-hmm.
in a way there needs to be a counter where we say to people, hey, we know that you have this, type of book, type of movie, type of person that you like. There is a way to have this serendipity and meet somebody who is outside, or read a story that's outside of what you normally.
Yeah, I mean, we explicitly add randomness into our algorithm. So,
Yeah.
so we do recognize that. And also, yeah, just to clarify one thing, like, we don't really ever look at engagement in the classic way of like time on site or number of page views, because online dating is a weird thing. We're trying to affect a real world meeting that doesn't involve us. People meet through OkCupid originally or exchange messages, and then they go have a drink or a coffee or whatever. We're out of that transaction. So we're actively trying to get people off the site rather than keep them there, like in a Farmville type way.
How do you maintain a successful business when success is getting people to stop using your service?
Right. It's a good question. I mean, because when someone gets married because of OkCupid, all the guests know about that fact, for example. So it's incredible marketing to have people just go on dates. First of all, where your roommate asks, hey, where are you going? Going on a date. Where'd you meet her? OkCupid. That conversation's happened a million times. Then there's these weddings or whatever. That's the best marketing we could possibly ever get. We've never paid for any marketing.
So for every client you lose, it's an endorsement for the next 10 clients to embrace the service.
Right. In theory, yeah, right. And that it seems to be working. I mean, we have grown very, very steadily since we started, and we're probably the biggest dating site in the U.S. at this point, and our kind of efficacy has been our calling card. So
you obviously have had tremendous success as an entrepreneur, building one of the legendary sites of the last decade on the internet, certainly in the top 200 or 300, and certainly in the top most impactful, like leading to people's marriages and babies in the world.
yeah, there's a lot of babies running around.
A lot of babies running around with your fingerprints on them, or I should say, OkCupid. Now, if you could look at any data set for the entrepreneurs who are listening, what data sets do you think represent the opportunity?
All right. Let me see how much more time is in this. He's gonna ask more final questions. So this is what I'm gonna do. Hold on a second, guys. Let me do this. And I think what I will do, I'm gonna answer this question, and then I'm gonna run this one with Emmy K. Williams. That's gonna punch onto the bigger issue. So let's listen into this. Fair use. And this will probably wrap up this part.
For the next 10 years?
Man, that's a big question. I mean,
with some data we are just starting to collect, we're just
Right.
starting to have available.
right.
Where do you think the opportunities are in big data?
I mean, this is going to sound like such a boring answer. I mean, I think other than OkCupid's, Facebook has a very sexy and powerful data set, but that's the obvious answer. I think the one thing, in trying to put together this book, which talks about a lot more stuff besides just OkCupid, I was very excited at the beginning to look at Twitter and Pinterest and all these other data sets that are out there. But unfortunately, a lot of these experiences are so self-contained. Like, Twitter just is kind of its own universe. It doesn't really pertain to the real world in the sense that they don't know how old you are. They don't know whether you're a man or woman. They have no idea why you're there, any of this stuff. And so all they really know about is how you use Twitter, right?
Right.
And like, that's interesting to a degree, but isn't interesting in a sociological way.
You can't say how many men follow how many females, females reply or favorite men, or by age.
Right, exactly. It's people interacting with news and people writing things, but not necessarily people interacting with each other in a way that you can kind of tie back to the core idea of who those people are. Yeah, especially race. Like, who knows, what your race is? You have a picture of Grover and some avatar of yourself. Who knows, on Twitter.
I think what's very interesting about your subtitle is, how we think when no one is looking. How aware do you think people are at the end of the day of what their, biases and true intents are? In other words, how many people are living in the matrix and how many people are self-aware?
I think very few people are self-aware. I mean, and I'm sure I'm there. I mean, any person has lots of things about themselves they don't realize.
Blind spots.
Sure, of course. Yeah, me too. But I don't think people. There certainly with things like race or attractiveness, preferences, or whatever, people do things that they would never explicitly own up to, or even realize that they're doing. And so,
Yeah, that's sort of my most I think it's sort of the most interesting part of your book is, are we even aware of what drives us?
right, exactly. And well, that's I mean, psychology as a field would be very different if we were aware, because someone could just be like, well, here it is, guys. So instead, you have to do all these studies to tease this out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why I mean, that's why I'm very excited about the use of this data, because I think it can help people who do this research professionally, which isn't me, get a better sense of what drives people, what people do, why they do it, how they work, how society works.
Yeah, that is the interesting thing.
As you know, we see Tough Topic Podcast in the building. What's good? J Mac in the building. I see you, sweetie. I see you. I see you. Yeah. Yeah. Not sure how long you've been listening, J Mac, but a lot of things were said here. I might open up, have you come up, just for the sake of the conversation. But so far, as you know, they're winding down and asking the more crucial questions. So we're going to listen more to the crucial part, and then I'm going to run this one last other tape to drive this thing home. So let's listen in, fairies. And please, guys, hit the super chat, Cash App, all that. I mean, I didn't pin it up, but you see in the chat room. Fairies.
The first time, I mean, sort of what Dataclysm kind of teaches us, the book, is for the first time we actually have this data.
Right, exactly.
Like this would be naturalistic observation in the psychology world, which means you'd have to put people on street corners to check boxes.
Right, and
it
even then it
impossible.
comes down to their opinion of what they think you're doing.
Exactly.
Right,
this
exactly.
is it's almost like the NBA. I know you're an NBA fan.
I
You
do
bring
like
up
the
the
NBA.
NBA a bunch.
Yeah.
The NBA now, it used to be an assist would be something that was arbitrary by the statisticians at the game. So the home team,
Right, sure, they pile up assists.
they
yeah,
might
right.
pile up a couple of extra assists where the away team might not get as many.
Right.
But now they have cameras over each arena marking where everybody is and the distance of the defender to the person shooting, so that you can actually see which defenders by how many feet are beating or missing.
Yeah, the NBA has insane game logging. They know every step that those guys take. It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, I could talk to you for 5 hours, and we're going to have you back. Here's your assignment. I want you to write another book just about the NBA. We just sit here and talk about NBA and Dungeons and Dragons. You're a fascinating dude.
Thanks, man.
Dataclysm, Who We Are When We Think No One Else Is Looking, by Christian Rudder. This book is amazing. I'm like I said, I'm about a third of the way into it, and I am really, really enjoying it. I think this is a must-read for anybody who is an entrepreneur, because, again, the data leads to the changes in the UX and the actual
exactly.
product.
Right. I mean, that's where the book came from, because we do this kind of stuff all day at OkCupid to make the site work, and we eventually realized that some of it was interesting in a kind of general way.
And Aziz Ansari, he gave you a little blurb on the back.
Nice little blurb, yeah.
The comedian.
Yeah, yeah, not just his namesake programmer friend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like. So what's the story with that? He was looking for material to make goofs on, and he.
Who knows what he's looking for? How much more? Let me fast. All right.
Not friends or anything like that, but he's a cool dude and read the book.
Errol
and liked it.
Morris also blurbed your book.
Yeah.
How do you have all this ball, and then you have.
All right, that's enough, guys. That's enough of that. All right, that's Dataclysm. You can find it on YouTube. So that portion explains it all. And mind you, if you're still in the building, let me drop the call link just in case you're still here. Miss J Mac to come up. Call line is dropped for her or anybody. Now, to let people know, that he wrote that book back in and was released in 2015. And then two ladies, I think two or three women or ladies, both are PhDs in their respective fields, wrote another book about this thing about dating and interracial marriage, all that stuff, and has things really changed. Which, if I could find the book, okay. But matter of fact, let me see if I got the book with me. Let me find the book. Make sure you guys like button as I find the book. Oh, here it is. Let me see if I can position the camera. This book right here, and I hope I do this right. I think I'll do this right. This book. The Day and Divide. This book came out 2 years ago. Now, and they update the information that was written back 8 years ago. A little more data analysis, more graphs, etc., showing the falsities of interracialism and the possibility of other groups of men wanting black women. There are going to be some white men that if they're down in their luck or they can't get anyone, if they need, some quick sex and maybe a kid, then yeah, they'll search and get a negress here and there. But other than that, when they really want, after they get what they want, they're just going to straddle along most majority of black women here in the West or anywhere, and to the point where they get what they need and they bounce like most or like certain other groups of men. But that's another story. So now, the next videotape I'm going to reveal now to wind this down, and I mean wind this down, is this. We all know Ebony K. Williams came back on the scene and was on another brother's podcast, had more discussions, and I think she's warning a lot of women, mostly women that are of her circle, most majority, not the ones that's not outside her circle. Because remember, ladies, when Ebony K. Williams is talking about black women, she's only talking about the close to the 2 to 1, so-called 1% black women. Did y'all know that? That's my rationale. She can't be talking to all y'all because most all y'all are not the same like Ebony K. Williams. I'm sorry. And if she was in the same room as you, she'll feel for you, but she gonna look down upon you. Personally. And that's the way it is. No shame, because how stuck up boozy certain women are after they reach certain status, It is what it is. But anyway, so let me run this tape. And this one goes into her interracial relationship with her white European, could have been, what do you call it? Fiance, I believe. But let's listen and listen good. All right, guys, fair use, fair use.
Happened with your fiance?
I can answer questions. What you want to know?
Why did you walk away?
Mm.
Now this is a white fiance now, mind you. That they were engaged for 4 years.
I guess the 3 biggest answers. I walked away because we got to a place where I wanted to create family, and it was very clear we had a 13-year age gap in addition to being...
He's 13 years younger than you?
No, Negro. He was 13 years older than me. That was cute, though. He was 13 years older than me. In addition to our cultural gap, him being white-presenting Jew, me being Black American, we had that age gap. He had 3 children.
I do have to be older than you to get a date with you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you're going to be older, and not only older, but you might have to maybe have some more money in her, possibly. I said possibly. or even give or take, you're just gonna have to have some form of status, and even that's not even moving the goalposts. To be honest with y'all, I'm saying. Well, let's keep listening.
That's true.
Okay. So that you're like, it only be these two things. I have to be taller than you. I have to be
Well,
older
I'm
than you.
5'3", Torre. So come on.
Go on.
And yes, I can't imagine that.
Actually, she's 5'2". But who's counting? I'm just saying. Very useful.
Dating someone younger, and I really struggle with dating men my own age because I really am an old soul. Like, and I'm an only child, so I'm not accustomed to talking to peers. I'm used to talking up.
Only children are different in that way.
Yeah. I only
for
engaged
sure.
with adults since I was like 7.
For sure.
So, yeah, he was 13 years older. He had 3 boys, ages, I think like 10 to 15 when I met him. What became more and more clear as we went on in the relationship, it was 4 years total. He had his family. And he did not have an interest in creating new family with me or even expanded family with me.
You wanted family, and he's like, I've already done that.
Correct. And this is why, one of the reasons that I'm having my child on my own.
Selfish. But what you expect? You think most men that's in their 50s, if they don't have a kid, most likely they will take you on an offer and might have one with you. At the time when they were dating, she was like in her mid-30s time. Yeah. So I'll tell you one thing, she was very submissive and very well behaved around the white man, that's for sure. We can't deny that. We can't definitely deny that. Are we right? Yep, we're right. All right, let's keep going. Fair use.
Why?
Because the type of men that I am attracted to tend to fall into that category.
They've already had families.
They already have families. A lot of them have vasectomies right now, if we're just telling the truth about it.
Well, how many 45-year-old men have never been married and have no children? I mean, like most men have done at least one or the other.
So you're making, yes, okay, yeah, exactly.
Right? Most of the men you're going to date.
Hold on.
Who are a little to a lot older than you.
Right, have already done.
Well, and probably the next live stream I'll do, I'm going to re-look at this information about the 54% single and childless men. And I probably will come to grips to find what type and what is the average. Be honest with you. I mean, I know why black men think that once you get married, you're going to have children. No, there's a certain age you're going to start having at least one child or maybe 2. Now, my biggest issue with all this is, like was said earlier, that they said a lot of, how can I say this? They said that once man turns 40 years old, he's going to have and compose and create 80% of the children here in the black community, and that's not accurate. And the reason why I say it's not accurate because, unfortunately, in our community, there's more women than men, and the small pool of men that's even having the luxury of even procreating, let's be honest, there is very small percent of the men that's what they consider the real men. Or I could say the baby Huey type men, the ones they can control. I mean, I gotta keep real with you. Because the ones that him talk about is the ones they control. I've seen it firsthand. So, really truly, those are the ones that's having the kids. Very small percent, not really big. So we gotta really tell the whole truth here at the end of the day. Anyway, let's keep going.
That they've already started their families, and most of them have already completed their families.
Right.
And they're not interested at 48 or 52 or 55, which is my new cap, of staying up with a newborn.
I can't be any older than 55.
And that's new. It used to be that you could be, but I found that that's now it's getting
So
caretakerish.
45 to 55?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. yeah, that man is not trying to stay up with a newborn
No.
all night.
No.
And who could blame him,
I
by
did
the
that.
way? I dig it too.
I did it.
Oh, you did it.
I did it.
Yeah,
I
you
did
already
that.
did it.
Yeah, I
So
did
you're
that.
not doing it again.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's one of the reasons that I find that we ended, because he did not want more family. And I love you to death. He loved me. We did not have a love problem.
Right.
We had a we don't want the same thing problem.
Right.
Another problem we had was he did not do, to me, an effective job of requiring a certain level of space and respect from his semi-adult children. So by the time our relationship was on its tail end, his oldest two boys were like 19 and 22.
Mm-hmm.
And they just weren't very respectful young men, which,
They weren't respectful to you?
they weren't respectful to women. Period.
But you're
Well, actually, I'm going to have to rebuttal that. They are respected. They're not respected to you, because to most, and it's funny that she said man's Jewish and white, which there are whites same way, let's not get twisted, person. They sure look at you as a nigga bitch. I mean, that's just the honest truth. I say, why this woman talking to me? This is a nigga. I don't want to talk to you. That's how it sure sees you. And not that they don't want to respect you, but that's how they see you. And the truth really hurts. Like literally, it really hurts. But she's not gonna really tell you what really goes in the household. Let's keep it real. Regardless, you said that it was respectful. It's hard for me to even believe that. Really hard to believe that. We all know how these people act. And when you're in their households, it's even worse. But it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Let's keep listening. Let's hear more about this, and we're going to wrap this up.
family.
No, he didn't do that, though, Torre. That's what I'm saying. He didn't.
Did they say wild shit to you?
They just talked. They were teenage boys, and they talk crazy, And then, frankly, there's the.
That's not the. What the? Yo. That was not the question. Did they call you nigga bitch? Did he use racial slurs? These are young adults. They know what it is. They look at their father, they look at you, and they say, Daddy, why you this nigga bitch around me? Why? Why did you tell me what to do? You're a nigga. We gotta be right here. You can't be even upfront and be honest. Like literally. He asked you a question. Were they saying things to you? And they said they're like teenagers. I don't give a if they were kids. Did they treat you and use racial slurs or any other form of foul type of kind of language to you while the 4 years you were in that relationship with your father? And the problem why Black women like Ebony K. Williams, and let's say majority of them, they're not gonna be honest about the racial slurs, the mistreatment, all that from Zaddy, the white man. And I get it. I understand. It is their preference. So you're going to do everything possible to keep this relationship nice and cozy, because to the mindset of most majority of Black women in America, we're going to go with America today. We can't go outside America. Outside America is worse, because any other Black person, they go on view white is right, white is beautiful, all etc. That is not no problem. We had to ask the question, did they call you racial slurs? And I understand why she didn't want to go into detail that, because by doing that, you admit willingly, like literally, you actually admit willingly that you were in the wrong place. Be in some relationship with a good portion of them, regardless if you think that their hearts and good intentions towards the marriage or the relationship that will lead to marriage between you and him is not sincere. He don't value or respect you because you're just another plaything. And once the ride is over, he's gonna make you submit and have you tap out and say, "I'm done. I'm done." And he's not gonna lose no tear. He's not gonna lose no feelings, nothing like that. Because to him, it's like, oh well, then you get another one. I'll get a nice young one like you. Matter of fact, I'll go get one tomorrow if I ain't got one already. That's the mindset of certain non-black men when they're in relationships with black women. I married Bria Miles and some other ones that even Kayla Nicole. They were in relationship with these dudes for years. No ring at the end of the tunnel. What that tells you. They love you, give them the whoop, 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 and the back shots, but that is as far as it's going to go. That's as far as it's going to take. Where he's going to take it. Let's keep listening. Fair use. Let me see how much more. Yeah, fair use.
Cultural gap, right? Where, sometimes white people, kids talk different. You get me in so much trouble, by the way. But anyway, you're like, I'm not doing anything. But it's true. But also, I think kids just are different these days. So I did not feel, because I feel like the children follow to the adult leadership, right?
For sure.
These kids will respect me exactly as much as you require them to. Speaking to my fiance at the time. And he was
Yes.
a bit afraid of his own children. He operated, let's go full circle to how we started the conversation, a friend's first posture.
No. You know the reason why I cannot really believe that? Yes, there are non-black people that treat their children in a so-called friendship relationship. That's fine. That's how they raise their children. That's fine. But really true, that's not the whole truth. And I'm sad to say, sorry to say this, why it's not the whole truth. It's because, and here's one thing, she said, even her talking about it, she'll get herself in a lot of trouble having this conversation. What are you afraid of? Get in trouble. You no longer in a relationship with this man. Matter of fact, you already decide to go into life, into motherhood, being a single mother by choice, mind you. By choice, mind you. So what's the harm? You're not gonna go back. You're not gonna, what they call it? What's the word they call it? Roll back. I don't know if that's the right word I want to call it. To your white white could have been husband. You're not gonna do that. And really true, like I said before, what sense it makes for, how can I say it? For the children to really have respect for you. I'm very curious. I don't know, man. I just don't know. 1 second, guys. Okay. Oh, I think, okay, the time is right. Okay. All right, so let's continue, guys. I'm gonna wrap this up, man. So
He wanted to be cool like his sons. He wanted to be at the Travis Scott concert with his sons. He wanted to be in, at the literally taking your boys to Taylor Swift, whatever. That was his primary focus, was to be liked by his sons. I don't give shit about no kids liking me. You will respect me first, and then we'll get to the like. And so we were not aligned.
And that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, and listen, these things are very difficult. I mean, I probably stayed a year and a half longer than I should have because so much love was there. And then I realized I needed to just choose me.
Wait, your mom voted for Trump though?
nah, I call cap. And the reason why I call it cap, because really true, you were uncomfortable to even go into that. And I'm glad you were being honest, personally, it's really saying something. It's really saying something, man. But none of that. She's not gonna be on the day market. The only thing I see what she's gonna do now is she's gonna probably try to get one of them frozen eggs and get some black sperm or whatever sperm she's gonna use and have this little single motherhood baby, and she's gonna probably. Let me tell you something right now. As much times black men complain about black women in regards to this, I'm gonna have to agree with them this that now single motherhood today, as we see it, is a choice now. It is such a choice now, it's just embarrassing, in my opinion. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. And I didn't put the links to the. Anyway, y'all know where to find the links to this one. But if you like this stream, please give me a like. Comments at the end of this video. Tell me what you think about this content. Also, share the stream for those if you made this far. And another thing, the links to follow me are the following. You can follow me on Twitter at ChaosRain7. Add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Ray on Facebook. Follow me on Rumble as well. Also join the Discord service of the Chaos Rain Show as well. And last but not least, become a member of the Chaos Rain Show. 2 tiers of membership. Pick your poison. Either or, for exclusive content, become a member of the Chaos Rain Show. You never know. There might be some content like this or any other content that might be for the members only. So, stay tuned to that. And that's pretty much it. Thank y'all for watching or listening to today's. Wait, Jay Shine, you there? Hey, Jay Shine, can you take the links to the chat room? Can you come up for a few minutes? If you can, if you're not busy, I'll put the link one more time. I just saw you now. Hold on. Before I end this, chop it up briefly with you. Links for you, Jay Shine. If you're still in the building, please come up. Yeah. But as I give some time, see if Jay will come up. Jay Shine will come up. Oh, I still got this banner. Yeah. Yeah, man. So like I said before, and I agree, single motherhood is a choice now. It is definitely a choice, Jay Shine. And most times, most people don't want to hear that. But people that like her, that let's say she got the money and you choose to become a baby mama, is very much questionable. Very much questionable. I don't care what anybody said. No one should choose baby mamahood at the end of the day. No one. Yeah, I don't think no one should choose that. And as I'm waiting for Jay Shine to come up. If he's still there, Jay Shine, if he's still there. Okay. And as he's waiting, let me see if I can find my links. Give him a couple more minutes. I'll wait. Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Let me check. All right, so let me drop links now for those that where's my links? Hold on, guys. Okay, all right. Thanks. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Until next time, let it chaos.